There's a huge difference between being an older man who turns heads and one who makes women inwardly cringe. You've seen both types. On one hand, you've got the silver-haired guy at the bar, radiating a quiet confidence, effortlessly drawing younger women into his orbit. Then, on the other hand, there's the man who's trying way too hard, unknowingly embarrassing himself. The key distinction is not about looks. It's never just about looks. It's about presence, energy, and most importantly, self-awareness. The reality is, nothing will turn a younger woman off faster than an older man trying to act the way he thinks she wants him to act, instead of simply owning who he actually is. So, if you've ever found yourself in a situation where younger women seemed interested at first, but quickly pulled away, chances are you might be making one of these 7 critical mistakes. And the worst part, you may not even realize it. Let's dive into it. Habit number 1, trying to act younger instead of embracing your age. Nothing repels a younger woman faster than an older guy desperately clinging to his youth. You know the type. The guy who's still wearing sneakers meant for teenagers, talking in outdated slang that hasn't been cool in years, or bringing up TikTok trends like he's staying on top of things, even though it's clear he's just copying what he saw on some How to Relate to Gen Z list. Here's the truth. You're not 25, and that's perfectly fine. In fact, it's more than fine. It's your advantage. Younger women aren't looking for another 25-year-old. They're drawn to older men because of the things that younger guys simply can't offer: stability, experience, depth, and a sense of knowing exactly who you are. When you try to mimic youth, you lose the very thing that makes you attractive in the first place: the maturity that comes with age. You're not going to be cool by trying to force a style that doesn't suit you. Picture this: a man in his 40s, rocking a backward cap, an oversized hoodie, and sneakers that cost more than his rent, and talking like he's trying to impress the younger crowd with phrases like "no cap" or "far." How does that look? Not cool, not young, just off. Take a lesson from Sean Connery, who continued drawing attention well into his 60s. He wasn't pretending to be in his 20s. Instead, he embraced his age and made it look damn good. A man who owns his age commands respect, while one who fights it looks desperate. The right way to do it. If you want to be attractive as an older man, stop trying to be younger and focus on being better. Instead of chasing trends, master timeless style. Rather than learning Gen Z slang, focus on being articulate and well-spoken. Words with substance will always hit harder than any fleeting phrase. And instead of trying to force yourself into younger spaces, create your own space where younger people are drawn to you, genuinely. Because at the end of the day, women, especially younger ones, don't want a man who's still trying to figure himself out. They want a man who knows exactly who he is. Habit number 2, flexing your money in a way that screams insecurity. Let's be honest. Money can be attractive. It signals success, capability, and stability. But the moment you start flaunting it in an over-the-top, look-at-me way, it quickly turns into a repellent. Younger women don't hate older guys having money. They hate it when older guys think that money is the only thing they bring to the table. There's a huge difference between being a man who has wealth and a man who uses wealth to cover up insecurities. And trust me, women can spot the difference from a mile away. Imagine this: a guy in his late 40s on a date with a younger woman, and within the first 10 minutes, he's name-dropping expensive restaurants, bragging about his Porsche, or mentioning how much his watch costs. She smiles politely, but inside, she's already turned off. She's not seeing a confident man. She's seeing a man who's desperately trying to impress. A truly successful man doesn't need to constantly prove his success. He lets his presence, his lifestyle, and his self-assurance speak for themselves. A rich man who feels the need to let everyone know he's rich. That man is poorer than he realizes. Habit 3. Complaining about modern women like it's a personality trait. If there's one thing that'll make a younger woman lose interest instantly, it's an older guy who sounds bitter about the dating world. You know the type, always going on and on about how women today are entitled, or how back in his day things were so much better. He talks about how social media has ruined everything and just seems stuck in the past. Now, I'll be the first to admit that some of that may hold truth, but the moment you start ranting about it, you're only showing that you're not adapting to the world. You're resisting it. It makes you sound less wise and more like the guy at the bar complaining about how music was so much better in the 80s. It doesn't make you sound experienced. It makes you sound old. When you complain about women, you're sending a message that you feel powerless in the dating world, that you have unresolved resentment, and that you're unwilling to adapt. And trust me, there's nothing less attractive than a man who blames the world for his problems instead of figuring out how to thrive in it. Habit number 4. Being overly possessive and controlling. There's a saying that goes, the tighter you hold on to something, the faster it slips through your fingers. Nowhere is this truer than in relationships. Younger women don't hate older men, they hate older men who treat them like property. A confident man makes a woman feel wanted, while a possessive man makes her feel trapped. The worst part, most men don't even realize they're doing it at first. What may seem like caring at first, texts like, "Text me when you get there," or "Who are you going out with?" slowly escalates into full-blown control. It starts with asking why she didn't answer your call immediately, followed by comments like, "I don't like you hanging out with those friends," or "I don't trust guys around you." And just like that, what was once attraction turns into suffocation. Here's why this happens. Men aren't naturally controlling, but life experiences, especially by the time a man reaches his 40s or 50s, often teach him to be overly cautious. After experiencing a brutal breakup, seeing a woman leave him for someone else, or competing with younger men for attention, he starts to believe that if he keeps his woman on a tight leash, she won't leave. But in reality, this kind of control doesn't make a woman stay, it drives her away. Habit number 5. Talking down to her like she's a kid. One of the worst mistakes older men make is when they stop being attractive and start being condescending. This is a common pitfall, and it happens without them even realizing it. They assume that because they have more life experience, they have the right to constantly correct, explain things, and tell a younger woman how the world really works. But guess what? Nothing kills attraction faster. Here's how it plays out in real life. Picture this. A young woman excitedly telling her older boyfriend about something she just learned. Maybe it's a new book, an interesting fact, or something she's passionate about. Now watch how the wrong kind of man responds. "Oh, that's cute. You just figured that out? Yeah, I've known that for years. Trust me, you don't really get how that works yet." It might sound subtle, but it's an instant attraction killer. Why? Because instead of engaging with her, he's belittling her. And here's the reality. Women, especially younger women, don't want to be lectured. They want to be heard. The psychology behind why this fails. Sometimes, older men believe their value in a relationship comes from being the wise teacher, the one with all the answers. While there's absolutely nothing wrong with sharing knowledge, the way you do it matters. You can either be the older man who makes her feel stupid, or be the older man who makes her feel inspired. One will push her away while the other will draw her to you. The key is respecting her intelligence, listening actively, and empowering her, not trying to show her how much more you know. Habit number 6. Dressing like you've given up on life. Let's be brutally honest. Attraction is visual. No matter how intelligent, successful, or charismatic you are, if you look like you've just rolled out of bed, you're already at a disadvantage. Sadly, many older men fall into this trap. Somewhere along the way, they stop caring about their appearance. They tell themselves, "I'm too old to dress stylishly. I don't have anyone to impress. If a woman really likes me, she'll like me for who I am." But here's the cold, hard truth. Women are wired to be attracted to men who take care of themselves. You don't have to dress like a 25-year-old influencer, and you don't need to chase every trend. But if you look like you've given up, she's not going to be into you. Why does this happen? Often, older men develop a false sense of security. Maybe they've been in a long-term relationship where they didn't need to try anymore, or they've reached a level of success where they think their status is enough. But here's the reality. Comfort is the enemy of attraction. When a woman sees a man who looks like he doesn't put any effort into himself, she doesn't think, "Oh, he must be a deep thinker who doesn't care about material things." No, she thinks, if he puts this little effort into himself, how much effort will he put into me? The difference between old and distinguished. Here's something that many men don't realize. Women love older men, but they hate men who look like they've stopped trying. Look at men like George Clooney, Idris Elba, or Pierce Brosnan. These men aren't young, but they own their age with style. They don't try to look 20, they dress like men who respect themselves. And that's the key: self-respect. Habit number 7, acting like you know everything. There's nothing worse than a man who thinks he's the smartest person in the room. Older men tend to do this without realizing it. They've lived longer, seen more, and experienced more, so they assume that gives them the right to lecture younger women on everything. But here's the thing, women don't want a professor, they want a partner. The fine line between confidence and condescension. Imagine you're on a date and she's talking about something she's excited about. Maybe it's a book, a new business idea, or even just a hobby. A truly attractive older man listens, engages, and encourages her passion. But the man who ruins it, he says something like, "Actually, that's not how it works. You're too young to really understand this. Let me explain it to you." In his mind, he's just being helpful. But to her, he's being condescending. Why is this so unattractive? When a man constantly corrects a woman or acts like her thoughts aren't valid, it sends one clear message: I don't respect your mind. And trust me, no woman, no matter her age, wants to feel that way. Final thoughts. There's nothing wrong with being an older man dating a younger woman. In fact, when done right, it can be one of the most exciting and fulfilling relationships out there. But if you make these mistakes, acting controlling, insecure, condescending, or like you've given up on yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure. You don't have to be young to be attractive. You just have to be a man who values himself, a man who gives her space instead of suffocating her, a man who listens instead of lectures, and a man who stays sharp instead of letting himself go. Because when you embody these traits, it doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, or 60, women will be drawn to you.